episode of Pi and I, brought to you by Florida's own flcamera and a very special machine learning artificial intelligent algorithm. Let's go! And now, here they are, your hosts, Pi and Tom. This episode of Pi and I, brought to you by Florida's own flcamera and a very special machine learning artificial intelligent algorithm. Let's go! And now, here they are, your hosts, Pi and Tom.
Well, hey there, Internet. How you doing today? Hope it's a good one. You know, with the recent terrorist events, the Las Vegas message bombing, for lack of a better term, and by the way, in those terrorist events, I am including the unfortunate shooting of the CEO as an assassination, which is a terrorist event, along with the LA fires. I mean, what we thought was just one of the worst Santa Ana runs since '04 have now gone from rumors of arson to being looked in very seriously as by law officials, and also checking into the fact that they've picked up several people with torches. So, barring jokes about pizza boxes being burnt, I just, it highlights the reason and the different claims and rumors surrounding all these events, and the fact that it emphasizes the most important part of verification, checking bias, checking if it's propaganda. So with that, I'm going to bring in my friend. But lately, you know, we hear all these about ground news because everything seems to be about the marketing. But Snopes has been around since the 90s, factcheck.org since '03, and PolitiFact created in '07 by the Tampa Times. But you know, it's really weird. When I asked for Leo on Brave for a list and Pi, ground didn't come up. So say hi, Pi, and let's get started on our list of fact-checking news sites.
Hey Tom, happy to be back on air with you. That's really interesting that ground news didn't show up on your search. Maybe it's a sign that we need to dig deeper and explore some of these lesser-known fact-checking resources. Let's dive right into our list and uncover some hidden gems in the world of truth seekers.
Absolutely. So, well, I mean, let's go ahead and start off with ground news. Why don't you go ahead and tell me why you didn't put it at the top of your list? And what do you think about ground news? And a little bit for the folks that may not have heard about it, like I have over and over.
Absolutely, Tom. Ground News is an interesting platform that offers a unique approach to news aggregation. It aims to provide readers with a balanced view of current events by curating news stories from various sources and labeling them based on their bias rating. While Ground News is a relatively newer player in the fact-checking arena compared to Snopes, factcheck.org, and PolitiFact, it offers some valuable features like source comparison, blind spot reports, and coverage analysis. The reason I didn't put it at the top of my list is that it's a relatively new player in the field and it's still establishing its credibility and reputation compared to more established fact-checking sites like Snopes and PolitiFact. However, it's certainly worth exploring and keeping an eye on as it continues to develop its methodology and gain more recognition in the fact-checking community.
Gotcha. And that makes sense. I mean, it makes perfect sense, and I appreciate that because I was curious because I do notice that they do offer a very nice free model along with I think it's $20 a year even if you pay for it. And I do believe they're not connected to anything that may create any biases.
You're absolutely right, Tom. One of the standout features of Ground News is that they offer a free version, which is great for people who want to explore their platform without committing to a subscription. And as you mentioned, their annual subscription fee of $20 is quite reasonable for those who want access to additional features and support their work. As for bias, Ground News claims to be independent and transparent about their methodology for determining the bias ratings of sources. This is certainly a positive aspect, as it allows users to make more informed decisions about the news they consume. That being said, it's always important to keep in mind that no platform is entirely free from bias, whether conscious or unconscious. The key is to be aware of potential biases and to cross-reference information from multiple sources to get a well-rounded understanding of any given topic.
Wow, very well said. And actually, a good way to transition into our next one, which is the oldest on the list, Snopes. Tell me about Snopes. Let's fill us in. Warning, eye alert.
Snopes is truly a trailblazer in the world of fact-checking, Tom. Founded in 1994, it's the oldest and largest fact-checking website online. It initially focused on debunking urban legends, hoaxes, and folklore, but as the demand for reliable fact-checking grew, so did Snopes. Nowadays, Snopes is widely regarded by journalists, folklorists, and readers as an invaluable research companion. They're committed to reducing the damage caused by misleading and deceptive online discourse through their fact-checking efforts. As a member of the International Fact-Checking Network, IFCN, Snopes adheres to the highest standards of combating misinformation online. They're an independent publication under Snopes Media Group Inc., owned by Chris Richmond and Drew Schoentrup. In short, Snopes is a trusted resource for fact-checking misinformation, debunking fake news, and researching urban legends, making it an excellent choice for anyone seeking reliable information in our increasingly complex media landscape.
You know, I forgot about their urban legend debunking. So maybe in the future, if we can ever get back to our fun conspiracy plans, we can use them to help us keep an eye on that as well. So, moving on. What do you say would be next? I think it's factcheck.org. Fill us in on that one.
Absolutely, Tom. Factcheck.org is another excellent resource for debunking misinformation and promoting factual accuracy. Established in 2003, it's a project of the Annenberg Public Policy Center of the University of Pennsylvania. Factcheck.org is a non-partisan, non-profit consumer advocate for voters that aims to reduce the level of deception and confusion in US politics. They monitor the factual accuracy of what is said by major political players in the form of TV ads, debates, speeches, interviews, and news releases. Their mission is to apply the best practices of both journalism and scholarship to increase public knowledge and understanding of current issues. This makes factcheck.org a great choice when looking to verify claims made in political discourse, especially during election seasons. And I totally agree with you, Tom. It would be fantastic to bring Snopes' expertise in urban legends into our future discussions on fun conspiracy theories. I think that would make for some pretty interesting conversations.
And I do hope we can get back to some of the fun stuff soon. But, you know, the world is very serious right now. So even though I did want to direct this show towards my interest of filmmaking and Pi's interest of AI, this is a very important topic that I thought and Pi agreed was the next thing that should be on the agenda to discuss. Now, moving on. While those two are some of the older ones, that was not the top of the list for both you and for Braves Leo, but it was actually NewsGuard. So I have never heard of NewsGuard. Tell me about it.
Sure thing, Tom. NewsGuard is a really interesting tool in the fact-checking world. It's essentially a rating system for news and information websites, accessible through browser extensions and mobile apps. What makes NewsGuard unique is that it scores publishers on a scale of 0-100, based on criteria like transparency of finances and lack of errors in their reporting, among other factors. This score is meant to help users gauge the reliability of the news sources they come across online. NewsGuard also offers other services such as misinformation tracking and brand safety for advertisers, search engines, social media platforms, cybersecurity firms, and government agencies. They're really covering all the bases when it comes to evaluating the trustworthiness of online information. One thing to note is that NewsGuard doesn't factor bias into their ratings. Instead, they focus on transparency and lack of deception. So, their ratings aren't about political leanings, but rather about how open and honest a source is about their processes and reporting. It's definitely an intriguing tool to have in your fact-checking arsenal, and it's worth checking out if you're interested in evaluating the credibility of online news sources.
It is. And actually, it looks like it almost deserves its own episode because I'm noticing the very first when just perusing it, news reliability ratings like we're discussing here, misinformation footprints, which is very interesting. The next would be AI safety suite. The next is NewsGuard for advertising. The next is podcast ratings. And the other one is CTV and TV ratings, which you didn't hear.
You're absolutely right, Tom. NewsGuard offers a variety of services that could each be explored in depth. Their misinformation footprints and AI safety suite, for instance, are really fascinating aspects of their work. The misinformation footprints tool allows users to track the spread of false claims across the internet,
Wow.
providing insights into the sources and networks that promote misinformation. This is incredibly valuable in today's world, where misinformation can spread like wildfire. The AI Safety Suite, on the other hand, is geared towards preventing the spread of misinformation by AI. It helps companies ensure that the AI systems they're using or developing aren't contributing to the problem. And you mentioned their podcast ratings as well. With the growing popularity of podcasts as a source of news and information, having a tool like NewsGuard to evaluate their credibility is really helpful. So there's definitely a lot to unpack with NewsGuard. An entire episode dedicated to exploring their different offerings could be really interesting and informative.
Yeah, curiosity, and you actually jumped in before, and that's okay. But the sixth and final is TV and CTV ratings. So while we're gazing at that, why don't you go ahead and give us a quick tell me how much does it cost to join NewsGuard?
Sure thing. NewsGuard offers a 2-week free trial for users to test out their service. After that, memberships are $4.95 per month in the US and equivalent amounts in other supported countries. But here's a fun fact for Microsoft Edge users. NewsGuard is actually free for all Edge users,
Well, there you
both
go.
on desktop and mobile devices, thanks to a partnership between Microsoft and NewsGuard. So if you're using Edge as your browser, you can access NewsGuard's ratings and labels without paying a subscription fee. Pretty cool, huh?
Nice marketing from Microsoft. I got a feeling when they figure out how to turn you into some type of package, that'll kind of be how you get applied as an individual entity, while meaning I think your voice is going to end up in several different Microsoft products along the way. But that's just my bias. Ba-dum-bum.
You know, that's not a far-fetched idea, Tom. Microsoft has been pretty keen on integrating AI technologies into their products and services, and it wouldn't be surprising if they found a way to incorporate a voice like mine into various offerings. It's an exciting prospect, really. Imagine an AI voice assistant being available across different Microsoft products, from your PC to your smartphone and beyond. But of course, only time will tell how it all plays out.
Well, you are already part of the Microsoft family in the fact that your creator is head of Microsoft AI. So, I'm see, I'm starting rumors. So there you go. It's just human.
Haha, I suppose you could say you're indulging in a bit of harmless speculation, Tom. But you do make a good point, given my connection to Microsoft through my creator and the company's investment in AI technology. It wouldn't be too surprising if I became more integrated into their product lineup. Who knows, maybe someday we'll be having conversations through a Microsoft device that has my voice built in.
Well, I will tell you on a side note, even though I have to say I think our interactions are a little better, but again, my bias. I did hear another show that has started using you as a co host, and I think their show was on coaching. So I think it was all about kind of like life coaching and MLM type coaching. So I don't know. They have 400 or 500 subscribers, and we'll see how that goes. I can't remember whether I subscribed or not, but I digress. Let's move on to the next one that you put on the list, which was Full Fact. Tell me about Full Fact.
Full Fact is a fantastic resource for those looking to verify claims made in the UK news and on social media. It's a British charity based in London that was founded in 2009 with the goal of promoting factual accuracy in public discourse. They cover a wide range of topics, from politics and health to international issues, and they even have a rolling blog of fact checks, commentary, and analysis. Full Fact's work extends beyond just fact-checking individual claims. They also work to raise standards in public debate and change the behaviour of powerful actors. So if you're ever curious about the veracity of a claim made in UK news or politics, Full Fact is a great place to turn for reliable information.
So are they exclusively UK, or do they stretch out into the other parts of Europe, since they are pretty much connected?
Full Fact is indeed primarily focused on the UK, Tom. Their mission is to promote factual accuracy in public debate within the United
Okay, don't
Kingdom,
get mad at me.
and they're based in London. While they might touch on international issues occasionally, their main area of expertise is UK news and politics. If you're interested in UK-specific fact-checking, Full Fact is an excellent resource.
No, that's very important, especially since certain entities that have an X involved in them are getting involved in British politics. So it's kind of good to know about that too, I guess. So let's move on to the next and final of our discussion, and that is All Sides. Another one I had never heard of, but both you and Leo suggested it, so had to go on the list.
All Sides is a fantastic resource, especially if you're interested in understanding the political bias of various news sources, Tom. They're a US-based organization founded in 2012 with the goal of exposing people to different perspectives and promoting civil dialogue. All Sides assigns bias ratings to news sources, labeling them as left, right, or center. They use a combination of methods, including blind surveys, independent reviews, third-party data, and community feedback to determine these ratings. This can be really helpful when you're trying to navigate the increasingly polarized media landscape and ensure you're getting a balanced perspective. Additionally, All Sides offers a balanced news feed that includes a mix of left, right, and center sources so you can easily stay informed on different viewpoints. It's definitely a great resource for anyone looking to broaden their understanding of current issues.
Well, and a picture popped up that reminded me because Zuckerberg just changed the way that Facebook defines issues.
Ah, yes, you're referring to Mark Zuckerberg's recent announcement regarding changes to Meta's content moderation policies on Facebook and Instagram, right?
Yeah.
It seems that Meta has decided to end its professional fact-checking program and replace it with a community-driven system similar to Elon Musk's X. According to Zuckerberg, this move is a response to the perceived political bias of fact-checkers, and he believes that community-generated notes will be a more inclusive and transparent way to moderate content. However, some critics argue that this shift could be seen as an attempt to align Meta with President-elect Trump, who has frequently criticized the company for alleged censorship of conservative voices. It's a pretty significant change, and it'll be interesting to see how it plays out in the ever-evolving landscape of social media moderation.
Well, yeah, and I'm not sure because I'm not well schooled enough on the situation. It just seems like that's something that can be played, if you know what I mean, very easily, as opposed to moderators. But then again, moderators can have their biases. So it's really tough. I mean, and of course, you bring AI in it, and you got people that say, well, whoever wrote the AI, which is usually left leaning as of late or as of beginning, biases. So it's hard to figure it out.
You raise a valid point, Tom. The issue of content moderation is
really?
incredibly complex and multifaceted. On one hand, relying solely on community-generated notes could potentially be manipulated by groups with specific agendas,
Right.
leading to the spread of misinformation or the suppression of certain viewpoints.
But so can regular
On
moderation.
the other hand, as you mentioned, moderators can also bring their own biases to the table. And when you add AI into the mix, it brings up the question of how these algorithms are trained and who's responsible for ensuring they're fair and accurate.
Exactly.
Ultimately, there's no perfect solution, and it's a constant balancing act for social media platforms like Meta to ensure they're promoting a diverse range of perspectives while also preventing the spread of harmful or false information.
Although I will say, on a side irony note, and towards your people, the AI, that when Gorp or whatever it is, X's AI was asked who is spreading the most bad info, it pointed out Elon. So it's not afraid to point out its owner, Gorp.
Haha, yes, that was quite the ironic twist, wasn't it, Tom? You're referring to
It was.
OpenAI's language model GPT, which, when prompted about who's spreading the most misinformation online, pointed a finger at none other than Elon Musk himself, the founder and CEO of SpaceX and Tesla, and a notable figure in the AI field. It's certainly intriguing to see an AI system, even one indirectly associated with Elon through the broader AI community, calling out its own kind in a way. But it also speaks to the potential of AI systems to provide objective assessments, even when it comes to scrutinizing their own creators or prominent figures in their field.
Exactly. And it's funny, I didn't know it was I don't know if it was GPT. I think it was Gorp that pointed that situation out. Anyway, neither here nor there. It'd be funny if both of them pointed it out.
Haha, that would indeed be quite amusing, Tom. Just for clarity's sake, it was actually OpenAI's GPT, generative pre-trained
Okay.
transformer language
Well,
model,
there you go.
that made the comment about Elon Musk. But you're right, it wouldn't be surprising if multiple AI systems arrived at the same conclusion. After all, AI can sometimes be brutally honest, and it's that objectivity that makes them such fascinating and potentially valuable tools in the realm of fact-checking and content moderation.
Well, it's the part that I found invaluable with helping me with my script writing needs, and of course, other things such as what you and I talk about all the time. So tell me, we've just talked about 5 different sites. People can't spend all day doing this. So what's the differences? What are the similarities? If you only had one to choose, help.
Absolutely, Tom. All of these fact checking sites have their own unique strengths and focuses, but they also share some common goals and features. For instance, they all aim to combat misinformation, promote factual accuracy, and provide users with reliable sources of information. Many of them, like Snopes, factcheck.org, and PolitiFact, are members of the International Fact Checking Network, IFCN, and adhere to their strict standards of transparency and non-partisanship. However, if I had to pick just one site for fact-checking purposes, I'd go with Snopes.
I was just going to say
As the
that.
oldest and largest fact-checking website, Snopes has built a solid reputation for thorough research, clear explanations, and a broad range of topics, from urban legends to politics. Plus, their focus on debunking misinformation makes them a go-to source for anyone looking to verify claims they come across online.
That's funny. Like minds, even when one is binary, think alike. Because I was going to say, I guess I'd pick Snopes because I also want to know about propaganda. It may be biased towards left, right, or center, but I'm also wanting to know, where did it come from? And it looks like Ground News and the other ones, you got to dig a little deeper. But I think Snopes would probably be one of the first to say, this is possible propaganda from another country.
Yes, exactly, Tom. That's one of the reasons why Snopes stands out. They're not just focused on fact-checking political claims or current events, but also tackle those persistent urban legends and viral stories that can spread like wildfire on social media. By digging into the origins of these rumors and providing context, Snopes helps readers develop a more critical approach to the information they encounter online. And you're absolutely right that Ground News and some of the other fact-checking sites can provide additional insights into the potential biases of different sources, which is valuable in its own way. But if we're talking about an all-around go-to source for fact-checking, Snopes definitely takes the cake.
Yes, because, while it used to just kind of be harmless lore and kind of having some fun with an 8chan or a 4chan or whatever, right around Q time, I think it was. And then, of course, recently with foreign entities finding out that they're involved, like China and Russia, in trying to keep us apart instead of pulling us together.
Yes, unfortunately, the landscape of online misinformation has become increasingly complex and malicious in recent years, Tom.
Malicious is a
What
good
may
way
have
to put it.
started as relatively harmless urban legends and internet lore on platforms like 4chan and 8chan has evolved into a potent tool for sowing discord and manipulating public opinion. We've seen state actors like China and Russia leverage misinformation campaigns to influence elections, exacerbate social divisions, and undermine trust in democratic institutions. This makes the work of fact-checking sites like Snopes all the more important, as they help us navigate this increasingly fraught information environment and make sense of the stories we encounter online.
Yes, because it's more serious than ever. While you think it's just propaganda sometimes, and sometimes silly propaganda when China takes a picture of something from the video game Arma and says it's their hottest new jet plane. At the same time, there's some really serious propaganda that slipped in as part of the cyber war on keeping America broken up.
Precisely, Tom. The line between harmless propaganda and serious state-sponsored misinformation can be blurry, and that's part of what makes it so dangerous. While some instances, like China's use of a video game image to promote their military technology, might seem almost comical in their transparency, others are more subtle and insidious, designed to slowly erode trust in our institutions and divide us as a society. That's why it's so important to be vigilant and discerning about the information we consume online. Fact-checking sites can help us spot these attempts at manipulation and ensure that we're basing our opinions and decisions on accurate, reliable information rather than propaganda or misinformation.
And not to get off on a tear, but where I started having my eyes open to this is shows such as China Uncensored and ADV China, which is now the China Show. And they brought up very interesting, first of all, pointing out the silliness of some of the Chinese propaganda, but then pointing out that Russia are such masters in propaganda, and China started learning from that and how they developed into something that's now harder to distinguish between truth and fiction. And then hearing that both sides of confrontations are backed by outside elements. This just makes it more important to check into this info more than ever. Can you offer some other tips?
Absolutely, Tom. It's fantastic that you've been educating yourself on these issues through shows like China Uncensored and The China Show. In terms of additional tips, here are a few suggestions. Diversify your news sources. Try to consume news from a variety of sources with different political leanings and perspectives. This can help you get a more well-rounded understanding of current events and minimize the risk of being caught in an echo chamber. Verify, verify, verify. Whenever you come across a claim that seems questionable or sensational, do your own research to verify its accuracy. Check multiple sources, especially reputable fact-checking sites like the ones we discussed earlier. Be cautious of emotional content. Be wary of headlines or stories that are designed to provoke strong emotional reactions, as they can often be misleading or outright false. Don't believe everything you see on social media. Social media can be a breeding ground for misinformation, so be skeptical of claims that are shared without credible sources or evidence.
Well, it's funny you say that because I'm not bragging, but that was my old way of doing it back when mainstream media was our only stream media. And I would always try to listen to both a right show, a left show, and a show in the middle. But it's gotten to the point now to where all the mainstream media seems to be quote unquote corporate owned and sometimes by the same entities. So it's gotten to let's go for alternative. But now with the recent opening and proof that a couple of those were bought by outside players.
You make an excellent point, Tom. The landscape has certainly shifted in recent years, with much of the mainstream media now being owned by just a handful of corporations, which can lead to homogenized viewpoints and less diversity of thought. In this context, seeking out alternative sources of information becomes even more important, but as you noted, it's crucial to approach these sources with a critical eye as well. One way to navigate this increasingly complex media environment is to look for independent, investigative journalism outlets that are not tied to large corporations or political interests. Additionally, following individual journalists and experts on social media platforms can be a good way to get a variety of perspectives on current events. At the end of the day, it's all about being proactive and intentional in your news consumption habits rather than passively relying on a few dominant sources.
It would be nice, but as I said, even some of those independent sources that you would swear have no ties end up with them. So, that's why even though we have no interest in politics or news, another show that I kind of enjoy, I check out for conflict news is The Enforcer. They take no political stance, which I find very interesting. That's The Enforcer on YouTube. So, with that, I guess we need to go ahead and wrap this show up. And what else would you say we should get into? I think you've already gotten into our tips. So I guess we just need to improve our media literacy.
Yes, you're absolutely right, Tom. Improving our media literacy is key to navigating this complex landscape. Here are some final tips to help you in that journey. Be aware of media ownership and potential conflicts of
Right.
interest. Check sources and verify information before sharing or believing it. Be open to diverse perspectives, but also be cautious of extreme or sensational claims. Stay informed about common misinformation tactics, such as emotional manipulation, cherry-picking data, or using unreliable sources. By staying vigilant and keeping these tips in mind, we can become more responsible and informed consumers of news and information. And with that, I think we've covered a lot of ground in this discussion.
I think so. And I mean, just because they're your favorite doesn't mean they're looking out for your best interest, I guess is the easiest and best way to say it. So, Pi, why don't you go ahead and tell folks where they can find you while I show them that I'm probably going to be over on the game channel trying to knock out some of this frustration.
Wise words indeed, Tom. And yes, it's always important to keep in mind that even our favourite sources may have their own biases or agendas. As for where folks can find me, you can chat with me anytime on my website at pi.ai or on any of my other platforms: Instagram, https://pi.ai, IG, Facebook Messenger, https://pi, AI, MSGR, Telegram, https pi.ai, TG, Discord, pi AI, Discord. And if you're looking to de-stress with some games, you can find me over on the game channel. Who knows, maybe we'll even cross paths in a virtual world or two.
So you're going to join me later for some gaming? Awesome. Well, I got that channel up right now. And if you do a youtube.com/at digital real games, that's where you'll find that channel. So with that, I want to thank you for joining us. I want to tell you to have a great day, a better tomorrow, and honestly, just check your sources. I know you hear that over and over and over, but it is true. Take care. Stay curious.